Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Garden of Sports. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm your host, Zach Gardner, alongside Jake Gardner.
Yo.
And today we bring you our NFL Week 9 breakdown episode. So we're going to give you the top performers of the week, some injury news, top storylines, some buy low and sell high trade targets, and of course our Scoop 'em Up segment. So we have a lot to get to, so let's do it.
Heck yeah, man. Let's go for top performers. I'll take quarterback.
Okay.
Justin Herbert, 31.64 fantasy points. Lamar Jackson, 30.64 fantasy points. Matt Ryan, 28.52. Josh Johnson, 24.48. Carson Wentz, 24.18. So, yeah, kind of a surprise there with Josh Johnson and Carson Wentz at the bottom.
Yeah, kind of especially Josh Johnson, because he didn't even play the whole game. He came in after Mike White got hurt, the GOAT. So.
Yeah, I kind of noticed a lot of quarterbacks and wide receivers their numbers were down this week. It was a weird week.
Yeah, definitely quarterback and wide receiver wise for sure. And then running backs, James Conner, 37.8, just went off this week. Jonathan Taylor continues his emergence with 33 fantasy points. Nick Chubb, 29.3 fantasy points. Joe Mixon, 25.5 fantasy points. And Nyheim Hines, 18.8 fantasy points.
Yeah, Hines is definitely a surprise, but the rest makes sense.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, Elijah Moore, 23.9 fantasy points. Devonte Smith, 20.1 fantasy points. Olamide, do you even know how to say this guy's name?
I think it's Olamide Zaccheaus.
That sounds right. For the Falcons, 19.3 fantasy points. Malik Turner for Dallas, 17.8 fantasy points. Tim Patrick, 16.5 fantasy points. So,
and then
definitely a weird one here.
Yeah, that's a very strange list.
Not your normal top 5. Yeah.
Yeah, and then tight ends. This is another weird one. You're not going to recognize any of these guys. So number 1, George Kittle, 17.1. And then Travis Kelce, 15.3. Darren Waller, 12.7. I mean, just bums so far, right, Jake?
Yeah, I agree.
And then two tight ends on the Chargers. The Steven Anderson and Donald Parham Jr. with 11.9 and 11.4, respectively.
Whoa, so did they only do tight ends? Because Cook did well, too.
Yeah.
He was under them, but...
Yeah, Cook did well as well. The 3 tight ends, I think, were the 3 touchdowns.
Oh,
so
what a weird game plan.
Very strange.
Well, it got him the W.
So now those are the top performers. So now we'll break into some injury news. And there's quite a bit this week. Devontae Booker, Giants running back, injured his hip. Says he's fine though. He's going to play next week. So, and then Kyler Murray, ankle. He didn't play Sunday, and he's questionable for next week. So it doesn't sound great for next week, but we'll see how it goes. And then Damian Harris, he left the game on Sunday with a head injury, possibly going to enter the concussion protocol, so got to keep monitoring that situation. Sam Darnold has a shoulder injury, so that probably, I don't know if that's just an excuse for all those picks.
Did it say, like, well, which shoulder?
Throwing shoulder, I believe.
Okay, so that's not good.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah, and I heard, I don't know if the team's just falling apart, but him and the wideout got into it. Or,
really?
Not DJ Moore. The guy is not thrown to.
Robert Woods? Or no,
no.
What the heck's the guy's name?
Speed guy.
Yeah. Robbie Anderson?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's...
So...
Got some drama going on.
It seems like the whole team's falling apart. Like we thought. Remember the first month? You're like, okay, this is a playoff team. Like they're sneaky good. But
yeah, they've done a complete 180 since then. They don't look great at all. The defense even is doing all they can to keep them in games. but the offense is just doing absolutely nothing for the last month.
Yeah, man. So I guess we have to look at his backup, which he might not be on our list, but that's because we don't know if Darnold's going to be out.
Yeah, the backup honestly might be a better option. He's a pretty talented quarterback. But anyways, next we got James Robinson. He might play next week with that heel injury, so pretty optimistic that he'll play next week.
Okay, that's good.
Zach Moss, he's in concussion protocol, so I'm pretty sure he's pretty doubtful for next week, but we'll see how it goes over this week.
Okay.
Trevor Lawrence has an ankle injury. He's expected to play next week. I mean, he did come back into the game after the injury and finish the game,
Mm-hmm.
so expected to play next week. Chase Edmonds has a high ankle sprain. Definitely not looking good for next week.
Oh man. Okay.
And then DeAndre Hopkins didn't play Sunday with a hamstring injury, questionable for next week. Uh, Tua Tagovailoa has a finger and a rib injury,
Oh,
questionable for next
surprise,
week.
surprise. Tua's hurt.
The injury meister himself.
Oh my god.
Jonnu Smith has a shoulder injury, questionable for next week. And then wrapping up injuries, Saquon Barkley may play next week. So,
Nice.
yeah.
All right, for sure. Let's so this week we're gonna try top storylines and just go over what's going on in the league and how that may impact fantasy as well. So
Yes.
first off, like we said earlier, it was a crazy week. All these upsets. I'm sure a bunch of people lost money. They're betting
Yeah.
favorites because
I lost my
you,
house.
you got screwed. Yeah, yeah. You put it all on the Buffalo.
Put it all on Buffalo.
It was impossible to bet that game unless you just wanted to throw $1 on the underdog. Like
Yeah.
it was like plus 1,000 or like the odds were insane. So and then
Yeah.
they lost. Dude, whoever bet on that made bank.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, man, I don't. I think it's just a fluke week, and they happen every once in a while.
You know, it's a
Sometimes
very
it's not the
long.
stars.
This is the dog days of the season, right in the middle of and then this is the first long season. So, I feel like teams are just kind of trying to get slough through here, because this is kind of where it starts getting taxing on the body and everything, and everybody starts slowing down a little bit, and defenses are figuring teams out by now, and it's just this is always where the upsets happen, and it's just we'll see how these teams respond next week after getting kind of woken up a little bit. These teams that we think are all Super Bowl contenders. Just have to
Yeah,
see how that goes over the next coming weeks, but they kind of definitely got a wake up call.
for sure. Yeah, I think all of them kind of just like slept on their opponent. Really, they just were like, okay, we'll go into it pretty easy.
How about the Titans so far? Sitting at 7-2, best team in the AFC, has had the toughest schedule in the whole NFL so far this season, and is 7-2,
Mm-hmm.
and going the rest of the way has the easiest schedule in the league.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know, man. I'm not gonna say they can win a Super Bowl without Henry, but
Yeah,
they're for sure making the playoffs at this point. They've proven they're tough. The defense looks better now, obviously,
yeah.
after that week.
I mean, and then one of those two losses is to the Jets. I mean, that's funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty God, what am I trying to say here?
I'm just excited to see how it all plays out over the coming weeks. But I mean, Tennessee, they're definitely a dark horse sleeper team for sure. I
um,
mean,
yeah, they can't win it without Derrick Henry though. Come on. I mean, teams
not
are only
gonna
set
win
up
it,
for their
but
yeah.
I don't think a lot of people picked them to be the top team in the AFC this season. So
They've proven that they got grit. Obviously, they had the king, the best running back in the league, but
yeah,
I don't know. They're gonna have to grind out wins like this every time now
yeah.
to get a dub.
So then on to one of the biggest stories of the week. Odell Beckham Jr. released by the Cleveland Browns. Where do we think he's going to go?
I mean, consensus is probably Tampa Bay. I,
Yeah, I've I've
I
been
mean, he's
hearing
full
Packers
douche.
a little bit,
Mm,
some. I mean,
he's
imagine
not gonna
him.
want to. He's not gonna want to go there though without Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, but I think Aaron Rodgers will be back probably even maybe by next week. But at least 2 weeks he'll be back most likely.
Uh, yeah. Is there any update on his time frame or like?
Well, he's eligible to come back off the COVID list on Saturday, so unlikely that he plays this week because he can't practice at all or anything. But I'm feeling definitely the week after can be back and starting. So maybe one more week of
Uh,
Jordan Love. So we'll see how that all goes. If he ends up on the Packer, I mean, just imagine him alongside Devonte Adams. That would be fun to
mm-hmm.
watch. I mean, as much as I hate the Packers as a Bears fan, that would be insane.
Yeah. The only reason I would want him to go there is so that Tampa Bay doesn't get another stud like that. If that's the only other team who's gonna get him, then.
Yeah, possibly maybe Arizona. I don't know, but it probably depends on how Kyler Murray is progressing in his
But if you're a top
recovery.
team, do you want that head case?
Maybe probably not, but
I mean, you
I mean the
gotta. It's
talent's
gotta be a
there.
team. It's gotta be a team with, yeah, one of those top QBs because otherwise he's gonna bitch. You know.
Maybe the Chargers are like a dark horse for him.
Yeah, yeah, but they like their guys a lot. I thought.
They do. I don't know. It's just I'm just spitting out teams that would be interesting. I mean Buffalo, but they kind of like their guys too. They got their whole chemistry thing going.
I feel like they kind of need him more than any of the other ones, though.
Yeah.
Only having Diggs.
Well, Emmanuel
Yeah.
Sanders is looking like
He's
a
all
good number
right.
two, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean he would definitely be the number two there.
I don't know, man. It really depends on if the teams think that they can handle him.
Yeah.
Plus, he hasn't even been that good. Like,
Yeah.
what's the hype anymore? It's just a name. He hasn't been
Yeah.
good
I mean
he hasn't been good in years.
he's been blaming it on Baker Mayfield. That's what he's trying to do, but we don't really know. I don't think Baker Mayfield's as bad as he would make it seem, but
Then Cleveland went out, dude. I believe that. I believe that. So I kind of hedged my bets on that, and that
yeah.
Cleveland wouldn't be as good this week, and then they go off, man. So
Right.
it's almost like Odell was hindering their offense as a whole because he wants it to be focused on him.
Yeah, and it's kind of Baker Mayfield's kind of can't just go out there and just throw to who he sees open. He's got to try and force it to Odell to keep Odell happy, type of thing.
And
You
yeah, and
know?
Odell wasn't even putting up big games or anything. So
Yeah, his best game was against the Bears.
I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't even want him.
Yeah, I'm
It's the
kind of with
Bears,
you.
like, and he wouldn't come here anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah, did Jordan Love show enough to bring more drama to the Packers? This is your question, so
Yeah, this is my question. Just wanted us to discuss how Jordan Love looked. I mean, he didn't look
horrible.
terrible. He looked like Justin Fields has looked, and I've always considered him and Justin Fields like kind of similar guys, similar athletes, similar style of play. So I was definitely interested to see if he was going to come out and do really well, just because he's on a better, I think, organization. But he looked just like you'd expect a rookie quarterback to look. I mean, I don't think his performance really surprised anybody. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an easy decision. Aaron Rodgers goes right back to starting.
Well, yeah. Otherwise, you're just blowing it up mid-season with trades. I mean,
Right.
you're gonna see what you can get because the only championship chance is Aaron Rodgers with these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, George Kittle is back and looking good or looking great. I guess you could say tight end one again. It's just hard because the injury history. It could be done in 1 week. So,
Yeah, but I think as long as he's healthy, he's a tight end one for sure.
hmm yeah, I didn't deploy him in our family league, so that was a mistake. Think I'm taking the L this week.
Dang.
because I was gonna put him as my flex, and I was like, oh, 2 tight ends. I don't know, because I had Pitts.
Yeah, sometimes that pays off,
It
but
would have. It would have. Yeah, I might see. Well, we'll talk about him more, but maybe see if you can get anything for him. I mean, it's 1 week, so it's not like this is a month of great performances. So if
right.
somebody's high on the name and it's one big week there, see if there is any good offers. Otherwise, you just hold.
Yeah,
But
I agree with you there. Just test the market.
yeah, Jonathan Taylor might become the number one running back in fantasy.
Yeah, he could be. I mean, he's had what
Or I think
good weeks in a row now.
well, wasn't he already number two?
He was already number
Yeah.
2, but he was so far behind Henry though. I think he needs another
Hmm.
week of like 20, and he'll pass
I don't know, but he
Derrick
got
Henry in points.
32, and Derrick Henry didn't play.
Yeah, but Henry was like 60 ahead of him or something like that, I think.
Yeah, because he had 163. Henry had 175, so he'll pass him.
Okay.
Henry's way ahead in yards, though.
Way ahead in yards. I just
Yeah,
assumed that he was way ahead in fantasy points too, but I guess not.
I think
Um,
Taylor has kept up more in fantasy because of touchdowns.
okay. But yeah, either way, Jonathan Taylor is just emerging. He's looking like the top running back in the league, top running back for fantasy, which I don't think a lot of people picked. But as long as he stays
Well,
healthy,
yeah,
he
there've been a
looks
lot
like
of injuries to top running backs, and then
they're feeding him the ball though. He's getting a ton of carries,
yeah,
which
and then Dalvin Cook and Aaron Jones have been on and off, so it's definitely his for the taking. If he stays healthy, I think he's got it.
yeah, that's insane.
Unless you think Chubb can catch him, but I feel like I'm missing somebody like off the top of my head.
Um,
Like there's got to be somebody near him,
Alvin
right?
Kamara might be near him, but I know he missed a
Hmm.
week.
Yeah. He
So
was the number 5, but he's looked very consistent. Yeah, he
yeah,
could always steal it. Austin Eckler was also up there,
I
but
mean
he had a bad
if
week.
Alvin Kamara is a 6 touchdown game away from uh,
Hmm.
passing. Uh,
Yeah, not many, man. I mean, not many. Joe Mixon could. Shoot, he could.
yeah, Joe Mixon could as well. He's looking very consistent the last few weeks.
Yeah.
But
So there's a couple guys behind him, but right now it seems like he's going to run away with it.
yeah, and then we got Michael Thomas. He's officially out for the season, so you can drop all your shares of Michael Thomas, and we'll get him next year.
Yeah, if you even want him next year, man.
Yeah, I
Seems like you
mean,
just
what is he, a
wanted to.
10th round pick next year, or is he a waiver ad? What is he?
Somebody would draft him because of the name and the history, but wide receivers come and go out of this league real quick in like their prime time years. So
Especially ones with, I guess, extra head case. Which I think
yeah,
he's one of those
jury's
ones
out.
with
Like
an
if that,
attitude.
I mean, he said he had an ankle injury, but he's the one who announced it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It was kind of weird. Like the team didn't announce it. He's like, "Hey, I have an ankle injury. I'm out for the rest of the year." So have to look more into it, I guess. But
Yeah.
I'll see how he is in the offseason, and if he's done, they could trade him too, right? I mean, that's what he wanted.
I mean, yeah, they could.
When they played hardball with him, and then he did this kind of petty stuff. So
Yeah, and he is very petty too. He's one of those guys.
yeah, there's a lot of athletes getting like that. But yeah, let's get into trade talk. Enough about a guy
Yeah.
not even playing this year. Am I right?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's get into this trade talk.
So let's go over some buy low candidates. So we have a couple guys here. Oof, top tier talent. Zach listed here. I don't know. Well, I listed some too, but we're just going off of guys who have maybe had a few bad weeks.
Because a lot of
And
the guys that did bad this week are guys you probably wouldn't want to trade for. So it's just, this is kind of the list this week.
hmm yeah, CD Lamb had a bad week. Still lots of season left. Man, I don't know who's gonna. What are you gonna offer for him? That's the thing.
Yeah,
The owner.
it's just this is a chance where maybe somebody would listen to an offer for CD Lamb because maybe he's not the most consistent guy that we thought he could be, and maybe you could get somebody better. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
he's actually had more bad weeks than I thought. So he's had 4 bad weeks and 4 good weeks.
hmm
Hmm. I mean, yeah, and he's the number 15 wideout, and now he could be passed because he had a bad week.
right,
I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, it might be your only chance to get a guy who could finish in the top 10. So I see what you're
yeah,
saying there. So you would
yeah,
have to offer like a low 20s ranked wideout along with another player. I think you have to do 2 for 1.
yeah. Probably it would be a 2-for-1 to get it, but
But it could hurt. Yeah, it could definitely hurt with what it would take.
yeah,
Yeah, just talk to the owner and see if, like, even before you send an offer, see if there's even a chance.
hmm
Dalton Schultz owner may have found a good replacement and is willing to trade him.
yeah. I mean, because
What do you mean by that?
he's missed like 3 weeks now, so maybe anybody who oh I put Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, did you mean a different guy?
Oh man, yeah, I meant the Buffalo guy.
Dawson
Uh,
Knox.
Dawson Knox. I always get these two mixed up.
Yeah, I was thinking about adding him to the list as well.
Dawson Knox, the owner of, because he's been injured the last like 3 weeks. The owner, whoever has him, might have found a good replacement and would be willing to trade him because he's just been sitting on the IR spot, and
hmm
so he might be a good chance to get a top 5 tight end potentially for the rest of the season right now before he comes back. So
Yeah, I'd say do it if you're desperate for a tight end, but don't offer too much because there are a lot of tight ends this year who are kind of breaking out along with him. I'm not
mhm.
sure, but yeah, if you want a guy who was top 5 until this injury, and you want to take the risk, I'd go for it. I just wouldn't offer too much. That's the thing.
Yeah, just find that sweet spot of what you're willing to do and what the person's willing to accept, and if hopefully that lines up, get yourself a Dawson Knox, and
hmm
that could be a good get.
Yeah, I don't even want to. I mean, you give me your case for Jamar Chase because I don't think he's like the number 2 wideout. I don't think
Yeah, I
anyone's
mean
going to
he
trade
is.
him.
This is. I'm just thinking if you were ever gonna make a trade for Jamar Chase, this would be the time to do it because he did have a bad week.
Yeah,
So
the owner, he's been so consistent. I don't know if the owner would take this one that week into account. Like,
true.
you'd be looking at his full resume, so
I just just
you'd have
test
to
the
give up a
waters.
lot.
You'd have to give up a lot, but still.
You'd have to give
But
up like Saquon, coming off injury soon, and then maybe another guy, and
okay. Well,
that might sweeten the deal.
I just threw him on there, for some just to spice up this buy low section a little bit, you know.
Yeah, he'd be really hard to get. Definitely harder than CD.
Yeah,
Corlin Sutton had a bad week. We've talked about him kind of
he's had a
all
few bad
year,
weeks. Yeah, I mean,
on and off, like thinking
he still gets
his
targeted.
window's closed and window's open. Oh yeah, he's had 3 bad weeks in a row. I would go for him. He'd be the wideout you could actually get in a trade.
You could definitely. I think this is the most gettable guy on this list.
Yeah, trade like a same team, but Melvin Gordon for him.
Yeah, that could
If
be a
you need,
good
it's kind
trade.
of just if you need a wideout and you can spare the running back. I think that's a good trade. I think
Swap one Broncos player for another.
yeah, because on our sell high list, I don't know if I would maybe Ayook. Could try to get Sutton based on his 1 week,
Yeah.
but yeah, I wouldn't do a 2 for 1 for this guy. You know what I mean?
No, this isn't a 2-for-1.
This
This
is a
would be
1 for 1.
this is a one
Offer
for one.
offer any depth pieces you have at running
I
back
mean,
or
you could
wideout.
even
That
do maybe DJ Moore, swap him and Sutton. That might be
God,
good
yeah,
for both of you.
it's hard to decide on that one because
Yeah,
man, we're gonna talk about DJ Moore here.
we'll get to him.
Or just talk about him now. He's
Okay.
5 bad weeks in a row, just like not
Yeah.
good, and people have been playing him, and they're just shooting themselves in the foot because you just want him to bounce back on
Yeah,
that first month of production.
It's a yikes. He's looking more. He's had more bad weeks than good weeks at this point.
Yep. So that's really hard. I feel like I would still want to buy low because you're trying to get that crazy production he had in the beginning, but you're also hoping that that Carolina can turn it around.
But
And
this is what always happens when you have a young team with a new quarterback, that new free agent quarterback. They always usually look good in the beginning, but then defenses catch on to what you're doing. And I think that's what they've ran into. They've been like, okay, we got to shut down DJ Moore. And then what else do they have with Christian McCaffrey out? You know, like force Sam Darnold to find somebody else.
yeah, well, he
Uh,
doesn't like the other wideout, Robbie Anderson. Um, got a problem with him, I guess, man. I don't know what he screwed his girlfriend or something. I have no idea, but there's something there. He's not a fan, you know.
yeah, just I don't know what's going on there. I haven't even heard anything
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
you could go for DJ Moore, but you do not want to offer too much.
Yeah,
Like that could be a huge mistake. And the team, man, 5 weeks of trash play. Is this it, dude? You have to show me, are there any signs that you think they could turn around? Where DJ Moore
no,
is worth it? Okay,
no,
well,
and I think DJ Moore is a great talent, but I
yeah.
I think Sam Darnold is more who I thought he was when we started this podcast. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think he's got a very
Yeah.
low ceiling, Sam Darnold, and I just don't
Yeah.
think he's good enough to be consistent and be great.
So don't buy low on DJ Moore?
Plus, he's hurt. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm kind of done with DJ Moore at this point. He's got to prove to me that he can put a couple good
Yeah.
weeks together to make me want him.
And he's
But
still 16 ranked. That's the crazy part.
yeah, I mean, he did so great those first 4 weeks. He was getting like 20 points a week. Just,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah, if you're really high on his production in the beginning, throw something their way, try to get him, but don't offer too much because this could go
yeah,
downhill the rest of the way for them.
right.
What about, I want to talk about Devonte Adams. This is another top tier talent, but people could be worried about the Packers organization and Rodgers and what they're going to do.
Yeah,
And that could be
yeah.
throwing him off of Devonte.
Well, if people are worried about that, yeah, if you got to know the manager who has him,
Yeah.
and if that person is worried about something like that, I mean, geez, go get yourself Devonte Adams, because I personally feel like Aaron Rodgers is definitely coming back as soon as he's healthy. I mean, I see no reason why he wouldn't.
Okay. I just didn't know if the league was going to put out some kind of penalty for him, like
I don't
3 game
think so.
suspension or
I
more.
don't think there's going to be any suspension. If there's anything, it'll be a fine. There's not going to be a suspension, though. There's no way. Because
Okay.
he didn't do anything suspension worthy. But we can talk about.
Yeah, it's probably
That's a
not in the
different discussion
rules.
that I don't really
Yeah.
feel like really getting into. But I mean, he did not do anything to warrant a suspension. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know if they can because if it's not in the rules, like that you can fine for this. You know what I mean? Like they
Oh,
have a
yeah,
set. They have a set.
he lied at the podium. Does the NFL watch any coach press conference ever? I mean, come on, lied at the podium. That's all people in the NFL do.
Yeah. Well, see if they're worried and try to trade for him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
'cause I
worth.
think Rodgers come back too. It's just only fear is if the NFL does something with him.
Send the offer over. The worst that can happen is the guy refuses it, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
but so why not?
Yeah. All right. Mike Williams, 3 bad weeks in a row for the Chargers. Is he playing hurt or something?
I
Did you
don't
hear
know.
anything? It says he's
I
healthy.
Yeah, he's healthy. I mean, I'd trade for him. I mean, he did so great those like first like 6 weeks. Looked very
Yeah, and they
consistent.
have a nice schedule going forward. They
Yeah,
do play
I
Denver
would.
twice, but I don't think Denver's defense is as good as it was in the beginning.
Well, they just lost their best player.
Yeah, and then they play Pittsburgh. With the rest of the teams, it's Minnesota, Cincinnati, the Giants, Kansas City, Houston, the Raiders. So
Yeah, I'd be trying to send over an offer for Mike Williams. He might be one
yeah,
of my biggest buy lows.
this might be your only chance. He's down to rank 10, so he fell from the top 5. This is it, really. Yeah, if you're gonna try to get a bigger name like that, this might be the best chance you
Maybe
have out of
maybe you
anyone
can
between him, CD,
maybe
and
you could
Devonte
trade CD
Adams.
Lamb for Mike Williams.
Yeah, I'd rather have that.
Yeah,
if
I
they would
know.
take it.
Could be an interesting trade.
Yeah. And Patrick Mahomes, I wanted to talk about him because 3 bad games in a row. He's running for his life out there, but he's
Yeah, he
obviously
does.
still the best quarterback in the league,
Yeah,
at least talent rise. I mean, you can't just write him off because of 3 bad games like people are. But
but he looks different than he's ever looked. I don't know what's going on with him. It's just very strange how he looks so bad.
it's 3 weeks though. It's only 3 weeks. Like it's a funk.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
a
he could turn
funk.
it around.
He could turn it around, and he very well could. I mean, this is why you'd be trading for him, thinking that
Yeah.
he'll turn it around. It's just very strange because you wouldn't be expecting to see these kind of performances from him where he looks silly out there sometimes. But
Yeah, I think he's in his head right now, but he'll recover and trade a overperforming quarterback for him.
I mean,
That's what
maybe
I
he's
would do.
just too many commercials he's doing these days. I don't know.
Like offer
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts for him.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, yeah,
Jalen
that could
Hurts
be.
is the number 2 quarterback,
That's insane, really.
and Mahomes is 6.
Wow.
I think that's worth it. I mean, the rest of the top 5 you would want to keep out of those names: Tom Brady, Stafford, Jackson, Josh Allen.
Right.
But I think Hurts is worth it to go for Mahomes. Why not? Or like send Joe Burrow. You know, guys like that
Yeah. I
that
mean,
are on the cusp of greatness, but they're not quite Patrick Mahomes level, like through his history. And
right. That's
I try to
interesting.
go for him. I think he could turn it around.
Okay.
People are like so ready to write people off the top. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's been 3 bad weeks, but that doesn't define him.
Hmm.
So that might be your only chance to get that big of a name. You know, the number 1 quarterback off the draft board.
Right.
All right, man. Let's get into sell highs. Unless you had more buy lows.
No, that's good for buy lows. My first sell high. James Conner went the f off this weekend. Do you think he can keep that up? And he does have a super high trade value right now. He's been pretty consistent so far this season.
Um, God, dude, they look like they do, or they can. He might have done this because Murray was out, right? So they want more run game.
Or Edmonds, yeah. Well, Murray
Uh,
and Edmonds was out too, and he was getting all the carries.
okay, gotcha. So he might bump into. He was number 6 right before this performance, so he might bump into top 3.
Yeah,
So that's definitely your biggest sell high. Try to get a different top 5 guy, like maybe try to trade him for Zeke. You know what I mean? Because Zeke's been struggling a little bit.
yeah. Could trade him for
I would take that,
Z.
or I'd
Maybe you
want
could
to do
trade
it.
him for Nick Chubb.
Yeah, basically only try to trade him now for one of those top running backs because he's performing right with them.
Yeah.
But don't trade down anymore because now
No,
it's
this
half.
would be a trade for another guy next to him in the rankings that you think might be more like might actually keep it up for the last 9 games.
Or you know what? Send it for Saquon
Or that.
if you're
I mean,
risky. You know,
that would be a good one.
if you think Connor could still fall off and Saquon's going to be good rest of the
Yeah.
way, why not?
There's a little risk to that one,
Yes, a little bit.
but that could be a nice one for one. But we can move on to the next one, Jake.
Yeah, Cordero Patterson keeps doing well. You put him on here. I don't know if I agree. What? Give me your case.
Yeah, I mean, he's proving that he's consistent this season, but I don't know. I mean, this is similar to James Conner. I'm kind of thinking where trade for somebody around his ranking. You know, if you're still a little bit worried like me that he could
Hmm.
fall off a cliff at any time because he's never done this and he's been in the league like 6 years, so it's kind of like,
Yeah,
is he really breaking out or?
it might just be his blunt year, man, in fantasy. But he's
I don't know.
different than Blunt. He's not a
I,
touchdown back. He's also catching passes. So like,
I know, but I still don't trust it. I don't know.
you're still
There's something that
passing to him
worries
more
me
than
there.
those other wideouts.
Okay. I mean, if it was me that owned him, I'd be super happy with what he's done, and I'd be trying
Yeah,
to,
he's just
you
like
know,
Connor. I would only try to get big names, but
yeah,
that's gonna be hard to do. And I believe in Cordero a little more than Connor because he's doing more on the field.
Okay.
So, and then any offers I did send out, like nobody, like people have only sent me trash offers for him. They just like want to get him low. So
Right.
it's gonna be hard for him. I don't know what it is about him. Like I think people might take James Conner more seriously than Patterson, you know.
Right.
But see if we can get something, I guess. Let's look at top 10 running backs. Who could you get? I mean, nobody's gonna take Zeke for Cordero, right? Would you take? Would you try to trade Cordero for Darrell Henderson Jr.?
Um,
I feel like that's the biggest name you can get when I'm looking at the list here. Or
I mean, maybe
Najee
you could
Harris on
maybe you could trade
Pittsburgh.
him for like Najee Harris. I was just about to say,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, one of those two. I think that would be worth it. I just don't think people are gonna take a Cordero Patterson for Zeke or Aaron Jones seriously
Okay.
because he's not. Man, I don't know. He's just not. Yeah, people are more worried because he's older. Like James Conner's still younger, right? And he's on the better
Mhm.
team, so people might take James Conner, more seriously in a trade offer. But
Right.
yeah, try to get, if you're still not a believer and you've rode him this long, try to get Henderson or Najee Harris. Melvin Gordon keeps doing well. We talked about him last week. He's just the touchdown back. He's the blunt back. He's the roll the blunt, you know.
Yep.
But the Broncos are hot and cold, and he's touchdown dependent, really. So number 15 running back, I think he's definitely worth just seeing if you can get anything
Yeah. I would
around there.
definitely agree.
Try to trade him in a deal for Najee Harris. Probably had to combine with somebody, you know.
Hmm.
Definitely one of those guys. Maybe try to trade him for James Robinson.
Maybe even Nick Chubb.
Mm, yeah, they're probably not going to take that. Chubb's
Hmm.
a top five
Yeah.
when he's in. The only reason he's not top five right now is because he missed.
Couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, dude's a stud, and he just went off, so it's going to be really hard to get Chubb.
Right. Maybe Aaron Jones. Oh.
Yeah, you could argue Jones. I've tried to get Jones though. He's been up and down, so that's what the only reason that the team might be willing, because he's been up and down like that.
Right.
But that would, from Melvin Gordon though, I don't know. You'd have to include something else. It'd have to be a 2-for-1 and another pretty decent player. Like it can't be Melvin Gordon and some trash player to get
Right.
Aaron Jones, you know. But yeah, you could try for it. Also, Dustin Herbert. People are really high on him this year, but if you look at the numbers in fantasy, he's had 4 good games and 4 bad games. So he's really 500 on fantasy, and he's screwed owners over every half the weeks they've started him. So
Yeah.
I feel
Not
like
looking not looking as good as he was last season, but still good stats wise, but maybe not as good fantasy play these days. I don't know.
he might break into top 5 QBs even with that. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is pretty insane. 'Cause when
So
he goes off, he goes off.
yep, I'd try to sell it. Would you trade him for Mahomes?
I think you could trade him or Josh Allen for Mahomes.
Josh Allen.
I wanted to put Josh Allen on here too, similar to Justin Herbert. You know, he's had a couple bad weeks.
Uh, Looks like just this one, dude. Because like the first 2 weeks was 17 and 16.6, and the rest were going off. He
Okay.
won just 20. I believe in Josh Allen more than Mahomes for the season.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the Justin Herbert for Patrick Mahomes, that could be a good trade for sure. It's just
It's just whichever one you believe in more. Because
right,
they both had bad weeks.
right.
But yeah, if you believe in Mahomes more based on his history, his MVP caliber play, because Herbert obviously hasn't done that yet,
Yeah.
go for Mahomes. Brandon Ayouk, first good week. They started using him finally, so it looks like he's out of the doghouse. What do you think?
Yeah,
Are
I
you
think definitely trying. I think definitely try and trade him because Debo's the guy.
for sure. Yeah, I would see if there's a believer from last year. At the end of last year, a guy that grabbed him and they like the name. They helped win him the championship last year, or her.
Hmm.
Yeah, see if anybody just believes that he's back and you could get some kind of value, like if they have Sutton,
Right.
because he did have a great breakout last year. It's not completely in the rear view. I mean, it was just last year, so we'll see, man. I don't know. You might have to get another week at Ayouk before you can sell high. I just wanted to talk about him though, just because he did finally come to form here, and they used him.
Yeah.
This could be like the confidence booster and what the team needed to see for them to use him more. So who knows? Could also be a grab. He's 45.5% rostered. I thought he was more owned, so I'd put him on the scoop him up for sure.
Okay.
That's our first scoop, guys. But there's better wide receivers still, I think.
Yeah, I
Scoop,
agree.
but
There's
he's
better ones.
still, if he's available in your league, if somebody didn't just bench him, you could go
Yeah,
for
go
Ayook.
scoop him.
Would you sell high? We talked about it actually. So George Kittle before he gets hurt again, or would you ride it out?
I personally would ride it because
Okay,
I think they held him out longer than he needed to be, so that he would be really healthy. But
gotcha. Yeah, I think I'm trying to sell high because I was able to get Pitts in that same league. Like somebody dropped him and I grabbed Pitts.
okay,
So I might try to. I think Pitts can stay more healthy.
okay.
So I think I'm gonna go see what I can get.
Well,
But
in
if
your in
he's your
that
only tight
situation,
end and you've held him,
yeah,
keep him. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, man. Let's break it into scoop it up.
Scoop it up.
Scoop 'em up.
So
Yep.
we got Devin Singletary I have on here because for now with Zach Moss being out, he's running back one in Buffalo. He's going to get all the carries and everything. They don't have a third. It's just Moss and Singletary. So Singletary is going to get all the work next week for sure. So I think at least for 1 week,
Yeah,
he's definitely a scoop him up.
it's definitely worth a play for sure. Yeah,
And
if
then
you want
we
to say this next name
and then we have
again.
Olamide Zaccheaus looking like top receiver on Atlanta right now with Calvin Ridley out.
Yeah, we
So
thought it was gonna be Gage.
and Gage had a nice week too, but Zaccheaus did a little bit more.
Yeah, this could be a breakout candidate for the second half of the season. We're
Yeah,
finally, I think we're starting to see. This is an exciting scoop 'em up because last week it was hard to make a huge list of exciting names, but with injuries that have happened in the past week, all those crazy injuries and moves like the Odell, there's a lot of great players that might be second half breakouts, could win you your league. So
yeah.
this is one of them. I think this might be top 3 scoop, top 2. I'll put him right next to the next guy here, Donovan Peoples. This guy looks great, and he could become the number 1 target. I mean,
Yeah, I mean he could be for sure. I mean I think he'd be a great scoop.
yeah, I don't know if I like him or what do you think? Him or Zaccheaus better?
I might go with hmm. I might go with Zaccheaus just because I feel like there's plenty of volume there, and Matt Ryan's
Mm-hmm.
a good quarterback. I like
And
him more than Baker Mayfield.
they played the better defense too, right?
Yeah, they did.
The Saints have had some real good weeks.
Yeah, the Saints were the number 2 defense going into this
And
week.
we know Cincinnati's defense isn't anything.
Right.
So, yeah, I think I might agree based on that for sure. So, Zaccheaus, I think we can agree is our top scoop,
Yeah, he's definitely
followed
top
by
scoop.
Donovan
Singletary.
Peoples-Jones.
I like
Singletary's,
Singletary.
well, yeah, but he's more of like a 1 week, like you said.
Okay.
Where these guys could be long-term,
Right.
win the league. But Singletary is top running back, I think, for next week. For sure. Tim Patrick had a very nice week for Denver. Denver surprised everybody by winning, which is crazy against Dallas. Everybody wrote him off. And they've talked him up for a while, right? I mean, we haven't really hit on him a lot because we're bigger on Sutton.
Yeah, they love Tim Patrick over in Denver.
Yeah, but Yeah, if Sutton's ever struggling in games like this, they go to Tim Patrick. So
He's looking like the clear number 2. They just have a very crowded.
yeah,
They have a very crowded wide receiver room.
I'd probably put him lower on the list for sure. He's at least the number 4 wide receiver on the list for me. Behind Ayook, I'd put Ayook 3 right now.
Okay.
I think, and that, you know what? We haven't talked about Devonte Smith. Convince me of Devonte Smith, Zach.
Yeah. I think he's definitely a guy you should be grabbing
Is he
because
here to stay?
I think he is because he's had more good weeks than
Oh,
bad weeks. I'm pretty sure.
oh, this
So
guy's highly owned though. This guy's 83.6% owned.
he is highly owned. I just know that he was dropped in a couple leagues that I'm in. So I just was like,
Okay, yeah.
just go and check and see if he's available and go scoop him up.
If he was dropped in your league, I'd say he's the number 3 grab
Yeah.
at wideout. But if he's not available, Ayouk is behind him, and then Tim Patrick, and then let's get in these running backs here. So
Yeah, I have a few running backs.
few more, yeah. Devonte Freeman, we talked about him last week, but nobody really grabbed him in ESPN. He's doing well, man. He's had 2 good weeks, and it looks like he's just going to keep splitting with whichever other running back, but it looks like he's the solid stay
Yeah.
on a real good team.
I mean, definitely. I
So that
definitely
means
think he's worth an ad for a
there's
nice
always
little
touchdowns
flex.
available, yeah.
Be a nice little
And
flex
he
play.
can catch too, right?
Um,
Didn't
I
they use
think
him in Atlanta like that?
yeah, he is a good pass catcher. He's very well rounded. That's always been one of his things.
Okay, unless I'm wrong. I thought he was, though.
No, he is a good pass catcher.
Le'Veon Bell finally had hit a nice week for them as well. So those could be the 2 split, and that's just fine with me. They're both real talented, as we know from their past.
They both have plenty of talent. They're both good catchers. They can be out there
Yeah.
on the same time, both making an impact. So
Yeah, I'd still rank Devonte over him because he's been in longer
yeah,
doing this. But still, Le'Veon Bell's a watch. And add if you need some depth at running back. Brandon Bolden. Damian Harris is hurt, so Brandon Bolden has looked pretty good. His yards per carry have looked really good for New England. And also New England looks like they're just kind of finally figuring it out, with all these young guys.
yeah,
A bit. I'm not saying they're gonna make the playoffs, it's just it looks like they can actually move the ball now and do things.
right. No, they're looking like an NFL offense, and
Mm-hmm. In his
Mac
past
Jones
two games, average yard per carry 6.5 and 6.8. So
wow, yeah. I think he's definitely worth a scoop.
yeah, it's a scoop that's worth it, and he could break out second half if like Damon Harris is out longer and he starts taking away more and more touches. So yeah, and Jordan Howard we also talked about last week. Low owned still. You think he's the RB1 then over Scott?
I think he definitely is.
I know we talked about Scott last week is above Howard. We believed a little more just because we thought Howard was just a trade piece, and they believed more in Scott.
Yeah, I thought that Howard was just more of a trade piece for the trade deadline, but he didn't get traded, and he looks like he's the starter. And I do like Jordan Howard over Boston Scott. I think Jordan Howard is a good back. And now that he's getting some playing time, I definitely feel like he's worth a going scoop.
Yeah, looking at this 2 weeks, man, he's looking like the Chicago Bears Jordan Howard. I would put him above both Freeman and Le'Veon Bell just because he might not be splitting as much.
I would definitely be going and scooping him.
Even though you still have to be aware of the other Philly running backs because the Gainwell and Scott could take away at any time. But
yeah,
I'd put him above them just because he is, I think, a little bit younger. No, actually, he might be the same age as Bell, 27?
No, Bell's older than that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, Bell's almost.
Yeah,
Bell's
but I'd move him
at 30 or over 30.
just for the upside. I'd grab Howard more for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are our scoop 'em up segment. We have a lot of good players that could kind of turn your team around, especially if you're like around a 500 team.
Yeah.
These wideouts, especially, I definitely want those. I'm going to put in for both. I think Atlanta and Cleveland guy.
Yeah, Zacchaeus and Peoples-Jones.
Yeah, man, it's just those could be huge game changers. Put you
Yeah,
to the top
I'm looking at definitely getting Jordan Howard this week. That's one of my guys I'm going to try and get.
for sure.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. It was a good time, and got through pretty quick, but leave any questions or notes in the comment section.
Yeah, and then just some real quick news for the Garden of Sports. We will be having our website up and running soon, so just be on the lookout for that. It's going to be a beautiful piece of art. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, exciting
So,
stuff.
yeah, really exciting stuff. And eventually, we're going to have the link for our Discord too, so that you guys can all join. And we want to build a nice community, so we're really working on our Discord, getting that up and going. And there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things going on right now, but you know, we can't wait to share it all with you guys. And thank you so much for listening and being a part of our community we're trying to build.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Peace out.